This is Enemies with BANG-IFITS by Lili Valente, read by Jason Clarke and Lili Valente. Part 1. Theodora Davy, 12 years earlier. The only thing worse than being the skinniest girl in 9th grade? Being the skinniest girl in 9th grade with braces and glasses, clothes that always smell of curry and onion from working at my parents' restaurant, and an inability to shut my mouth or take the easy way out, even when shutting my mouth is clearly in my best interest. Like now, for example. Cutter Comstock is an asshole, yes, but you can't really hold him responsible for his behavior. He's one of the gorgeous, unicorn people of the world who simply doesn't know any better. From the time they're very small, very adorable children, unicorn people learn that they're too beautiful to be denied anything their magically magnificent hearts desire. They frolic through the world, being petted and praised and given free stuff for doing nothing more taxing than breathing and being pretty at the same time, until they come to expect the star treatment as their rightful due. They rarely hear the word no, and so when they do, they take it way too freaking personally. Especially if the no is coming from someone far, far beneath them in the social pecking order. Like yours truly, who is obviously not a unicorn. I'm more like a malnourished goat, or a meerkat, having a bad hair day. A really bad hair day. Mom thought it would be a great idea to give me a bob cut before school started, and I've spent the entirety of 9th grade looking like I'm wearing a black Bozo the Clown wig. I thought nothing could be worse than the heavy black curls down to my waist that made my neck ache for the first 13 years of my life. I was wrong. I am often wrong, but I'm not wrong about this. I can't let Cutter into the restaurant, even if my refusal ends in him pitching a unicorn fit in the lobby. No, I repeat, you can't talk to Zach right now.
Seriously?
Cutter arches a golden brow and makes direct eye contact with me for the first time since he pushed through the front door of my parents' restaurant 2 minutes ago and demanded to see Zach. Immediately. But Zach is the only dishwasher on duty. Hurry Curry is slammed, and my mother will kill me if I drag Zach out of the kitchen for anything other than a serious family emergency. Which this is not. Cutter's here on band business. That can absolutely wait until Zach gets off in 2 hours. Seriously, we're slammed. You'll have to come back later. I hold his glittering green gaze, refusing to be dazzled by his beauty. So he's a sandy blonde-haired, budding rock god with muscles in all the right places and wickedly clever eyes. So he smells like the ocean, and a pheromone factory had a really sexy, sandalwood-scented baby. Who cares? Not me. I may only be 14 years old, but I have a good head on my shoulders. I can spot a liar at 10 paces and trouble at 5. And Cutter is both, with a heaping helping of poor decision-making on the side. No, thank you, unicorn. If I'm going to crush on an unattainable older boy, it's going to be an unattainable older boy with a sweet smile and a sparkling personality. Like, say, Zach, for example. Zach, who makes me laugh so hard I almost wet my pants. Zach, who at 18 already has tiny lines around his eyes because he spends so much time smiling. Zach, who is like a beautiful Irish setter in human form, who I hope to marry one day and will make beautiful, half-Indian, half-Scottish babies with my dark hair and his freckles. Sigh. Cutter, with his unicorn perfection, has not been marked by the UV rays that cause brown spots to pop out on the skin of mere mortals. He's freckle-free, aside from a speck of black in his left eye, right in the middle of the serpent green. That sexy eye freckle sends an extra sizzle of danger my way as I stare him down. His gaze shifts over my shoulder, toward the banging sounds coming from the kitchen at the back of the restaurant, and his eyes narrow. Don't even think about it, I say, bracing my arms on either side of the hostess stand. My dad might look sweet, but bust into his kitchen uninvited in the middle of the dinner rush, and he will cut your nose off and add it to the stir-fry. Cutter's attention returns to my face, his own expression dubious. He used to wrestle tigers in the old country, I deadpan. The only thing my father has ever wrestled with is the 20 extra pounds that he's never been able to take off, gained while my mom was pregnant with me and eating ice cream every night. But there aren't a lot of people like us around here. Hidden Kill Bay is a largely homogenous town. 90% of the population is white, and my parents are the only people I know who don't speak English, or much more rarely Spanish, at home. So, yeah, add the only brown girl from a country most people don't realize is in Asia to my list of traits that make me that chick who doesn't belong. The good part of being different, of course, is that people will believe anything I tell them about India, or sacred cows, or how many tigers my father has wrestled.
Nice try.
Cutter says, lips curving in a condescending smirk.
But I'm not stupid.
At least not that stupid, I counter. He grins.
You've got a lot of attitude for an elementary school kid.
I'm in 9th grade, I correct, fighting to keep the irritation from my tone, refusing to let him know that he scored a direct hit, right in my low confidence because I'm so skinny and flat-chested zone. I go to your school.
No way.
His brows slide up his sexy forehead. I used to think there was no way a forehead could be sexy, but Cutter Comstock is proof that, when presented properly, anything can be sexy. His forehead, his chin, the way his wrists nip in before his big hands splay out, all sexy. Heck, I could stare at his stupid elbow for hours. Even that usually knobby, weird-looking bone has reached genetic perfection in Cutter's unicorn-perfect body. The jerk. Yes way, I say. We had Algebra 2 together last semester. He grunts.
That class was the worst.
I liked it.
Oh, of course you did,
he says smugly.
You're a good little math nerd.
Being a nerd has nothing to do with it, I snap, pausing to smile at a couple leaving the dining room and wish them a good night before turning back to Cutter. I just pay attention and keep an open mind, that's all. When you do that, it's easy to see that math is just a game, a series of puzzles that get easier and easier to solve once you learn the rules.
I don't like rules or math.
Without math, we wouldn't have music, I counter, pushing on when he rolls his eyes. It's true. Fractions are all over sheet music, in the length of the notes and the time signatures, and some people say Beethoven intentionally used his knowledge of mathematics as a tool to enhance the emotional tenor of his compositions. And even if you don't read sheet music, rhythm is inherently mathematical. I shoot him a smug smile of my own. You can't rock out without math, so you're getting your math on every night, dude, whether you like it or not. He holds my gaze, a knowing light in his eyes.
So you've seen Lips on Fire play?
I'm Bridget's best friend, I say with a frustrated huff. I'm over at Kirby's house almost as much as you are, douchebag. Are you seriously saying that you haven't noticed me once in all the times you've passed me in the hall on the way to the bathroom? I mean, surely, not even you are that self-absorbed. He lifts his hands at his sides.
Easy there, Squirt. I don't look at Bridget's friends on purpose, okay? I don't want to get in trouble with some underage kid and fuck up my music career before it even gets started. We aren't living in the 70s anymore, you know? That shit doesn't fly in this century.
He shrugs.
But yeah, I'm sure I've seen you around.
He casts a meaningful glance toward the kitchen, then sends a dazzlingly flirty smile my way.
Speaking of careers, if I could just have 2 minutes with Zach, I'd really appreciate it. I'd owe you one, too. We've got a shot at a gig in Bangor tomorrow night. Opening for some heavy hitters, but we need to jump on the offer now, and we can't jump until we get the okay from Zach. All 4 of us have to be on board before we agree to play anywhere. That's the rule.
That's a good rule, I say, bristling, even though I know it isn't Cutter's fault that I'm invisible to boys. Society decided attractive girls are everything I'm not. Curvy, quiet, and devoted to spending all their spare time and resources on making themselves as pretty as possible. Even if I had big boobs and a more conventionally attractive face with normal-sized eyes that don't resemble a startled Sesame Street puppet, I'm sure I'd still be passed over by a lot of guys. I'd rather spend my spare time whipping up new recipes, goofing off with Bridget, or playing board games with my mom and dad than straightening my hair, shaving all the things I'm supposed to shave, or learning how to blend eyeshadow. But I can't bother them in the kitchen for something like that, I continue. We have rules too, and the major one is don't distract my dad while he's cooking unless the restaurant or someone in it is literally on fire.
On fire, huh?
He reaches for the bowl of matches next to the bowl of individually wrapped mints on the edge of my stand, but I cut him off with a slap on his knuckles and a sharp, "Don't even think about it."
I was kidding.
He snaps.
Jesus, you need to relax, kid, or you're going to have a heart attack before you turn 15.
I'm already 15, I lie. I will be soon anyway. Just 2 more weeks. Bridget and I have already planned every detail of my birthday sleepover. From the snack menu, to what cheesy 80s movies we're going to watch, to how we're going to sneak out to the park across from my house at midnight and dance with scarves under the full moon while making wishes for the year ahead. All of which suddenly seems adolescent and ridiculous now, standing face to face with this beautiful jerk who clearly thinks I'm the losiest form of loser.
Then you might make it to 16,
he says dryly.
Lucky us.
I prop my hands on my hips. That's not funny.
Because you're not letting it be. Again, I'd encourage you to relax.
And I'd encourage you to stop telling girls to relax every time they disagree with you. It's called gaslighting, I say, pushing on when he arches a, "What the hell are you talking about, psycho?" brow. It's when you try to make other people feel like they're crazy for not doing what you want them to do. It's manipulative and shitty, and probably a sign that you're a budding sociopath, if not a fully flowered one, already stinking up the world with your sickly sweet sociopath stink.
My sociopath stink?
He echoes with a bark of laughter.
Wow, you're really a piece of work, aren't you?
And you're taking up space reserved for paying customers, I say, willing someone to push through the front door and need to be seated. But the worst of the dinner rush is over, and the street outside is dark and quiet. Dang it. But whatever. Cutter's still wasting time I could be using to start my closing duties. More importantly, he's on my last freaking nerve. So, unless you'd like to place a takeout order, I say, lifting my chin, then I'll have to ask you to leave.
Fine.
He steps back, hands propped low on his perfectly narrow hips.
I'll just tell the guys we can't take the gig because Bridget's little friend was being a royal bitch.
Now you're trying to use peer pressure to shame me into doing what you want? Classy. I force a breezy laugh, despite the fact that he totally hit another tender spot. I don't want the boys in the band to think I'm a bitch. I like the boys in the band, especially Shep, who's a burly sweetheart, and Zach, who's probably the most amazing male human ever born, aside from my dad. I know Zach won't hate me for telling Cutter he can't go back to the kitchen. He knows the rules and respects my dad as a firm but fair boss. But still, I don't want Zach to lose a gig because of me, and I really don't want him to think of me as a cranky, pinch-faced, fun-killing witch with a stick up her butt. Which is exactly how Cutter sees me. I can see my twisted reflection shining in his slime-green eyes. That's how I vow to think of them from now on. Slime green, blob green, phlegm green. That's what he is. An entitled, arrogant, phlegm-eyed creep who isn't worth 1 second of my time and shouldn't have the power to hurt my feelings. But he does. And proves it when he says,
I just call him like I see him.
His gaze flicks down to my name tag before returning to my face with another smirk.
Theodora. So do your parents actively loathe you? Or did they honestly think naming their kid after a dead president and Dora the Explorer was a good idea?
I force a smile and mutter through gritted teeth. I hate you.
The feeling is mutual, squirt.
He returns the grin as he backs toward the door.
I'll be back at 10 when Zach gets off. See you then. Unless that's past your bedtime.
Ha ha, a joke about how young I am. I call after him. Super creative. He laughs, flipping me the bird as he swings out into the cool spring night. Yeah, fuck you too, I mutter, giving him a double bird I'm positive he catches in his peripheral vision as he stalks away. If he missed it, the fact that my mother saw me whipping out both middle fingers at work and grounded me for 3 days for being obscene would really chap my ass. God, I hate Cutter Comstock. Part 2. I hate Cutter Comstock all night Friday night from the boredom of my purple bedroom, while Bridget goes bowling with some of her other friends instead of to the movies with me. I hate Cutter on Saturday, as I work a double shift at the restaurant, without any hope of chatting with Zach during family meal, because the band ended up getting that gig after all. Now Zach's over an hour away in Bangor, rocking out in a smoky underground club that wouldn't let me in the door, even if I had a fake ID, because I look 13 on a good day, and a really tall, scrawny 11 on a bad one. I hate Cutter on Monday, when he breezes past me at school without seeming to register my existence, proving I've become invisible to him again. I'm just another squirt, too scrawny, hideous, and young to matter to a guy like him. As far as he's concerned, I might as well not even exist. The fact that he can't be bothered to stay as pissed at me for a few days seals the deal. He is the worst. The very, very worst. I decide to hate Cutter forever, which, despite my natural inclination towards forgiveness and compassion, proves pretty darned easy. He continues to be a jerk who acts like he has no idea who I am, even when we run into each other at Kirby's house multiple times, or end up in the same volunteer crew for summer beach cleanup. Me, because I believe in keeping our beaches clean. Him, because he got mandated community service for getting caught banging some girl behind the 7-Eleven. Or at least, that's the rumor. The raunchy rumor that helps solidify Cutter's reputation as the kind of boy you don't bring home to mama. Especially my mama, who openly daydreams about me marrying her friend Priya's son Arjun, a self-professed Uber nerd and Pokemon Go aficionado who is about as sexually threatening as a marshmallow. He even looks a little like a marshmallow, all fluffy and toasted to a light golden brown. Not that I would ever introduce Cutter to anyone I cared about, least of all my mother. The poor woman would have a heart attack if she thought I was even just friends with a guy with that many tattoos. And the fact that he's better at applying eyeliner than I am, and wears it more often, would confuse her. My parents might have lived through David Bowie, but they weren't paying much attention to him, or anything else, aside from making enough money to give their daughter everything they didn't have when they were young and poor. They're lovely people, and I've always known I'm lucky to have them. I don't resent working at the restaurant all through high school, and then, after graduation, for lunch shifts, while I'm attending culinary school in the evenings. Bridget is away getting her degree in hotel management, and only home every other weekend anyway. And it's not like I have many other friends to hang out with. I mean, I do have a few solid gal pals like Colette, my friend from summer camp, who moved to town after she got a job at a local bathing suit design company, and the rest of the crew from the Culinary Institute. We all play poker on Wednesdays after we get off work and school, and hit happy hour once or twice a week, once we're legal to drink. But we're hardly a wild and crazy crew. And that's fine with me. I like my hometown quiet, with minimal chance of a run-in with an asshole. The boys in the band are semi-famous by this point. Famous enough that they're out on tour most of the year, but not famous enough that they pop up in casual conversation. Slowly, my puppy love for Zach becomes a sweet friendship we nurture with regular emails and the occasional phone call. And Cutter's obnoxious smirk fades from my mind, until I erase him from memory as completely as he's erased me. It's perfect. So perfect that I forget that I ever had a nemesis who I vowed to loathe until the end of time. I relax my grip on my Cutter hate, and whole months, then years, pass without a single bad boy-inspired sneer curling my lip. And then, the jackass comes back. Part 3. You're finally here! Bridget sets her beer down on the fold-out table by the dunes and races across the sand, her arms spread wide. Her graduation party is in full swing, complete with oceanside fire pit, Chinese lanterns strung on poles around the makeshift dance floor, where several familiar faces from high school are getting down to the disco jams drifting from the portable speakers, and 2 massive fold-out tables groaning under the weight of the food I had the catering division of Claudio's deliver earlier this evening, before I got off work. At 22, I'm the youngest head station chef in Claudio's 50-year history of serving fine food to the people of the greater Bangor area. I have just enough clout to get an excellent deal on party yummies, a fact that eased the sting of not being able to get off work until 10 on the night of my best friend's welcome home party. "Come here, gorgeous," Bridget says, wrapping me up in her long arms. "I've missed you so much." I return the embrace, laughing as she hugs me tight enough to make me grunt. "You too. I'm so happy to have you home for good." "Yes," Bridge says with a relieved sigh as she sets me free. "No more driving back and forth every other weekend. Just home for keeps, and Friday night girls' nights stretching out into the future as far as the eye can see." She grins. "It'll be just like old times." I grimace. "How about Wednesday night girls' night, since I have to work on Fridays?" "Done." She claps her hands dramatically. "Let it be so, and add it to my calendar." "Are you drunk already?" "Yes," she says, giggling. "I've had 2 wine coolers and 2 beers." She drops her voice to a not-at-all quiet whisper. "But don't tell Kirby, or she won't let me go skinny dipping with Colette at midnight." She grips my shoulders, her eyes going wide. "You should come too. It'll be perfect. We can have our first skinny dip together." "You've never skinny dipped before, have you? I mean, I assume you would have told me if you had, but—" "No, I haven't," I assure her, "and I don't intend to start. There are sharks out there, drunkie. Sharks who hunt at night and like the taste of girls who are full of beer and bacon-wrapped figs." "Then I'll switch to wine and crackers," she says with a naughty wink. I laugh. "No, you won't. That has even more alcohol in it. Seriously, you can't get wasted and drown on your first day back, or I'll be super pissed." She throws an arm around my shoulders as she starts back toward the food tables. "I'm not going to get wasted and drown. I'm going to have a veggie burger and sober up, and then get sweaty on the dance floor. That's the only way I'm going in, if I get overheated first. I'm not afraid of sharks, but you know I'm a total baby about cold water." "The very babiest," I agree, with a happy sigh. Because it's nice to know everything about someone, the way I know everything about Bridget. I've missed her so much the past 4 years. I can't wait to be 2 peas in a pod again, just like we used to be. A lot has changed lately. My parents sold the restaurant and retired to Florida. Bridget's sister became an international best-selling author, and half the girls we went to school with are getting married or having babies. But Bridget and I will always be the same. There's no doubt in my mind. Too bad other things have to stay the same, too. I spot Cutter Comstock, smirking at a girl in a skin-tight t-shirt, way too thin for the brisk summer night, and I grimace, all the old loathing flooding back with a vengeance. Turns out despising that man is just like riding a bike, damn it. Ugh, why does he have to be so gross? I mutter, my lip curling. Bridget glances over her shoulder, following my gaze to the fire, where Cutter is glowing in the warm light, like the Nordic god of mischief and sex appeal, and the girl's nipples are so hard, they're casting perky little shadows. "Who? Cutter?" She smiles my way. "You don't still hate him, do you? I mean, I know he was an asshole when we were in junior high, but that was a long time ago." "It was when we were in high school, and assholes don't change their spots. They just get assier and holier and spottier." Aloud, I say, "Of course not. Just feel bad for the guy. He could stand to be a little more subtle, you know?" Bridget laughs. "Yeah, subtle isn't Cutter's MO. He's shameless. But it's part of his charm." "Charm, huh?" I arch a brow. "As long as you're not the one getting cooties from his shameless peen, I guess." "Right. That goes without saying." Bridget only blushes a little at the mention of peen, proving she's definitely a few sheets to the wind. She dated a few guys in high school and a few more in college, but she has yet to find the peen tempting enough to convince her to turn in her V-card. I wouldn't go near that without a hazmat suit, she continues. But as a friend, he's a good guy to have in your corner. He lets Kirby use his boat anytime she wants, and said I should feel free to take it out too, now that I'm home for good and we'll have more free time. Her eyes brighten. We should go out tomorrow, go fishing, and get some sun before I dive into hardcore work on the bed and breakfast. Like hell am I going out on Cutter's boat. I'd rather stab myself in the eye 100 times and give myself a rubbing alcohol rinse than give him the satisfaction of knowing I'm enjoying one of his toys. But now isn't the time to cross that bridge. Chances are Bridget will forget all about this plan when she wakes up hungover and exhausted tomorrow, and will spend the day lazing around on her sister's couch, watching home reno shows and eating too much frozen pizza, as God intended. How is that going, by the way? I ask, eager to find out more about the Lawrence sisters' plans for the creepy old mansion on the edge of the square, which Kirby bought at an auction a few months ago. I saw the tarps go up around the front porch and wheelbarrows full of carpet headed out to the dumpster in the driveway, but I haven't had time to pester Kirby for a tour. It's going great. Bridget reclaims her beer and fetches me a glass of Chardonnay from a tray at the end of the table, already knowing what I like to drink on a summer night. I mean, the inside is a hot mess, and the roof will have to be replaced. But the place has great bones, and the foundation is rock solid, which is such a relief. If we'd had foundation issues, like so many of the old homes in that area, we wouldn't have the budget to finish out the guest suites with all the upscale touches we'll need to compete in the top-tier market. But now... She takes a sip of her beer and swallows. We're in a great place. And if the team stays on schedule, we should be ready to open next spring. My eyes go wide. That fast? Bridget nods. Yep. Which is awesome and terrifying at the same time. She bites her bottom lip, her brow furrowing. What if I can't pull it off, Theo? What if I fail at being a manager and the business goes under and I waste all of my sister's money and prove she never should have trusted me with so much responsibility? Ridiculous. I shake my head, refusing to help entertain such crazy thoughts. You'll be great. You went to one of the best hotel management schools in the country, and you're a brilliant and adorable human. The B&B is going to be a huge success. And so are you. Bridget's expression softens. Aw, I love you. Not only do you say sweet things, you say them in a way that makes me believe you. Because I speak the truth. And I do. Almost all the time. Part 4. I'm a truth teller, which is why I can't help speaking my mind an hour later beside the fire, when Cutter plunks down on the stump next to mine and asks me for a light. Do I look like the kind of person who carries a lighter? I ask, arching a cool brow his way.
You look like the kind of person I'd love to share a joint with, if you're interested.
He shoots back, grinning as he gives me a once-over that ends with a long, lingering contemplation of my chest.
We can get a lighter from someone else. No worries. So how do you know Bridget?
How do I know Bridget? I echo, too shocked to infuse the words with the proper amount of smartass. He's got to be fucking kidding. But no, he isn't fucking kidding. A fact he proves when he opens his stupid mouth again.
Are you a friend of hers from college? I've been on tour on and off the past few years, but I'm pretty sure I've met all of her high school friends.
I pull in a breath, about to launch into a verbal lashing the likes of which this ridiculous unicorn person has never seen. But I stop myself at the last second. Because Cutter is still staring at my boobs, like they're the most beautiful boobs ever plunked down on God's green earth. And Cutter clearly has no idea I'm the little girl he called a royal bitch, all grown up. And the opportunity to fuck with him is just too delicious to resist. What kind of tour? I lean forward slightly, granting him a better view of Thing 1 and Thing 2 as I bat my lashes. Most of the time, my breasts are a pain in my back and neck. Going from an almost flat chest to a double D practically overnight during my first year of culinary school was an adjustment, to say the least. but there are moments when I love the girls. Moments like these, for example. Cutter's eyes glaze over with lust so quickly, I almost feel sorry for the drunk bastard. This is going to be too easy. Seriously, I wouldn't be a man for a fistful of diamonds. Yeah, periods and sexism and feeling unsafe walking after dark all suck. But better that than being a helpless slave to the male sex drive. And boobs.
I'm in a band.
Cutter tells my boobs.
Lips on Fire. You might have heard our new single on the radio.
I bounce up and down, letting the girls do most of the talking. Oh yeah, that's so cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
He says with a smile.
It's been a wild ride. So much travel and press for the new album. A lot of fun, but it's good to be home.
Home is where the heart is, I say inanely, knowing full well it's not my conversational skills he's interested in. I use my arms to enhance my already dangerous cleavage, squishing things 1 and 2 closer together with a flex of my biceps. So, do you want to get out of here? Go somewhere we can be alone and talk?
Yes,
He says, without a beat of hesitation. His gaze finally leaves my chest, sliding back to my face, setting my heart to racing. Surely he'll remember me now. Yes, my body is completely different, but my googly eyes are still as googly as ever. But when his eyes fix on mine, he smiles a warm, happy smile, as if he is delighted to discover my face is as nice as my boobs, and reaches out to take my hand.
I'm Cutter, by the way. Do you want me to call you Beautiful, Beautiful? Or do you have a name you wouldn't mind sharing?
The moment of contact is so startling. I don't think I've ever touched Cutter, and I certainly never expected his hand to feel so nicely warm and calloused in mine, that it throws me for a second, giving him time to add in a softer voice.
Sorry if that's cheesy. I've had a lot to drink, but I mean it. You're gorgeous.
Am I? I will my skin to stop tingling and get with the Busting the Bad Boy program already.
Stunning, actually.
He murmurs. So you'd like to spend some time alone together? I ask, trailing the fingers of my free hand along the plunging V-neck of my summer sweater. As predicted, Cutter's attention is sucked back to the booby objects of his affection.
So fucking much. And I'll make it good for you, Beautiful. I don't leave women hanging, even when I'm drunk. I'll make sure you're taken care of.
I like being taken care of, I say, in a sexy voice, even as I gently twist my palm, freeing my hand from Cutter's. Too bad I find you utterly revolting in almost every way. He stills for a moment, before he blinks, and his gaze jerks back to mine.
What?
I find you revolting, I say, with a sweet smile. I mean, you're pretty good with a guitar, but that's not nearly enough to make you a tolerable human being. He frowns and shakes his head, as if he doesn't trust his ears.
What?
I would rather have my nipples cut off with a rusty razor blade than let you touch them, I say, in a slow, condescending voice that sends evil glee crackling through me. I will never have sex with you. Not if yours was the last penis left on Earth, and banging you was the only way to continue the species.
Well, our species sucks, so I'd be on board with that part.
He says, anger creeping into his voice.
But I get it, okay? You don't have to be a bitch about it.
But that's what I am, I say, smiling harder. I've always been a bitch. And if you were better at remembering the faces of the people you've treated like shit, you would have recalled that before you embarrassed yourself. His forehead smooths out as his eyes go wide.
You're Bridget's friend. The squirt.
His gaze sweeps down my body and back up again, making me feel self-conscious in a way I didn't when he still thought I was a stranger. By the time his eyes fix on my face again, I'm blushing.
You've grown the hell up.
That tends to happen, I say dryly. Little squirts become grown women, too smart to fall for your bullshit, because they know who you really are. He takes a drink of the beer in his hand, seeming to contemplate that as he swallows it down. Finally, he nods.
Yeah, I was a dick to you that one time.
He shrugs.
But I was a dick in high school to almost everyone.
I roll my eyes. Oh, well, that makes it so much better.
No, it doesn't. It was still shitty, but it wasn't personal.
He shrugs.
I just hated my life. Hated living with my dad and fighting about my future every fucking day. Hated feeling like I was this big disappointment no matter what I did, all because I couldn't give up on music the way he wanted me to.
I sit up, crossing my arms over my chest, not liking the way his words are making me feel. I'm a compassionate person, but I don't like having compassion for Cutter. He's a jerk, and jerks don't deserve access to the soft spaces in my heart.
Like I said, that doesn't excuse it, but it was never about you or anyone else. It was about me.
He takes another drink of beer, holding my gaze as he adds flatly.
I hated myself. And it's hard to be good to anyone else when you hate yourself.
I'm pretty sure there are about 100 books written about that, I say, in a gentler tone than I've ever employed with this particular person. The only soul who's ever pissed me off enough to get on my shit list. He grins.
Yeah, I've read at least a dozen. It would have been good to know they were out there while I was in high school.
So, you're a reformed asshole now? I ask, pinning him with a narrow look. His grin widens until it pops an irresistible dimple in his cheek.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't think I'm an asshole, but most of the women I've slept with would probably tell you a different story.
He stretches his neck to one side in a way that's relaxed and sensual at the same time. But he could probably make changing a light bulb look sexy. It's in the way he moves, the way he holds himself, the way he fits so comfortably inside his own skin, making me wish I felt even half as at home in mine.
But I tell them the truth.
He adds.
I tell them I'm not looking for anything but fun and friendship and a fond farewell when it stops being fun and friendly. It's not my fault if they choose not to believe me.
Like the Maya Angelou quote, I say, fetching my glass of Chardonnay from the sand. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. He nods.
Yeah, exactly. She's a smart lady.
He toasts me with his almost empty bottle.
And so are you. Thanks for the reminder to keep my feet on the ground.
I huff. Was that what that was? I thought it was payback. Petty payback, I add. And I'm sorry about that. I usually have better manners.
Yeah, it was good for me. Call me crazy, but it's exciting to know there is still pussy out there that's beyond my reach.
His eyes lock on mine, holding me captive, as he adds in a voice that is all sex and bare skin and hands roaming in places they shouldn't.
But that maybe, if I keep working on myself, maybe someday...
In your dreams, bucko, I whisper. But I don't sound angry. I sound turned on. And God blast it, I am turned on. Some stupid part of me wants Cutter's warm hands on my skin, his lips on mine, his green eyes sparkling into my soul as he shows me why women can't seem to say no to him.
Absolutely.
He grins in a way that makes me pretty sure he knows he's slipped through my defenses.
I am going to dream about you tonight, Theodora. I hope that's all right.
And if it isn't?
Well, I can't really control who I dream about, but I'll try to dream about that other girl I met earlier, if you want.
He lifts his shoulders and lets them fall with a long, suffering sigh.
But she wasn't nearly as smart or beautiful or bitchy as you.
I laugh. I try not to, but I can't help it. As much as I hate to admit it, he's charming. This older, wiser, less asshole-ish version of Cutter. Fine. You can dream about me. I hold up a hand before he can respond, but only because you remembered my name without having to be told.
Of course I remember your name. I remembered it every time I passed by you in the hall at school, and you turned bright red because I refused to look your way and hate you as much as you hated me.
He winks and pops that dimple again.
Take care, beautiful Theo. And take it easy on me in my dreams tonight, okay? It's been a long time since I've been with a woman who refuses to put up with my shit. I might not know what to do with myself.
I shake my head. I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Are you?
He gives a playful wiggle of his brows.
So does that mean you'll reconsider the offer to ride my face until you...
Ew, gross, Cutter, I say, shoving at his shoulder when he leans closer and insists.
It isn't gross. It's my superpower.
Not interested, I maintain, with a breezy laugh. Thanks.
All right, but let me know if you change your mind.
His lightly glazed eyes drift across the crowd behind me.
In the meantime, I'd better go find a runner-up to the most beautiful girl at the party. I'd rather go home with you, but you know what they say. If you can't be with the one you love...
He rises unsteadily, blowing me a kiss as he starts toward the dancers.
Good seeing you again, Squirt. Congrats on those gorgeous fucking tits, and don't be a stranger.
Don't be a stranger. I don't want to be a stranger. I want to chase him across the sand, drag him back to my place, and take that ride all the way to Multiple Orgasm Junction. Even though he's totally gross, and totally a man-slut, and so not my type that it's laughable. I like nice guys, faithful guys. Guys who look at me like I'm the only one they want to touch, not like I'm simply one of the appealing options on the menu. And sure, maybe I could have something casual with a man, even though I've never done casual before. But not with Cutter. He's probably slept with half the country by now. He's a bad case of cooties waiting to happen. No way am I risking that for one night of fun with a guy who used to pull my pigtails when I was a kid. No fucking way. Literally. Part 5. So I do what any self-respecting woman in my place would do. I avoid him for the rest of the summer, turning down every pool party and barbecue invitation where I know Cutter is also likely to be on the guest list, and spending more nights at home with my vibrator than I'd like. But it's all worth it when Cutter leaves to go on tour with a band in late August, and I meet Baxter in early September. Baxter is an elementary school teacher who loves food and cooking as much as I do, has never met an episode of Bob's Burgers he can't watch a dozen times, and who dedicates himself to my pleasure every Tuesday and Saturday night for the next 10 months. And even though Lips on Fire's music is on the radio all the time by then, I don't think about Cutter that much. Every once in a while, his wicked voice will drift through my head and send a shiver through my bones. But that night by the fire is just a sexy memory, nothing more. When I see Cutter for the first time post-Baxter breakup, he's at the beach with a gorgeous blonde, looking so smitten, I can't bring myself to interrupt them to say hi. And why should I? It's not like Cutter and I are friends. We're just two people who rubbed each other the wrong way, then grew up and got over it. End of story. So I walk away, putting him out of my thoughts for good. Or so I assume. Until the night several years later, when I make the biggest mistake of my life. The night I find Cutter all alone, and decide to take him up on that oh-so-naughty offer.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed Enemies with Bang-IFITS, written by Lili Valente and narrated for you in duet by Jason Clarke and Lili Valente. If you enjoyed Theodora and Cutter's story, you can continue their entire full-length romance in Banging the Enemy by myself, Lili Valente, now available in ebook or anywhere you like to listen in audiobook. That is Google, Nook, Apple, Audible, anywhere you like to listen. In addition to my website, and I will have the direct link to get that in the description. When you do buy direct, it makes such a huge difference. It really helps me save up money to produce more audio, and I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment, give a like, or subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next thing. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great day. And I'll be back with more audiobooks later. Bye.